New numbers reveal the human cost of traffic violence across metro Atlanta. A new report shows hundreds of families grieving loved ones lost on our roads in 2024 and where the danger is hitting hardest. Let's find out what's behind this with Rebecca Serna, Executive Director at Propel ATL, formerly the Atlanta Bicycle Coalition. Rebecca, it's great to have you on for an important conversation this morning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
You know, when you look at these numbers last year, what jumps out to you as the clearest sign that traffic violence is still very much a problem, maybe even a public health crisis here in Metro?
Yeah, what really struck us is that more people are killed in traffic by drivers than by gun violence each year in the 5 counties that we looked at. And yet we hardly talk about it. We hardly hear about it. And the solutions are actually pretty simple. We know how to prevent traffic violence. We know how to save lives on our roadways.
Okay, let's talk about some of those solutions. What are they?
Our streets today throughout Metro Atlanta are primarily designed for speed. We have wide lanes, we have multi-lanes, they're fast, they're straight. The crosswalks are few and far between, and yet people need to cross the street to get to the bus or the grocery store. And we have a lack of safe spaces like sidewalks and protected bike lanes for people outside of cars while encouraging speed. It's really just physics. When you have fast-moving cars that are getting heavier and taller every year, hitting other cars or people outside of cars, death is the inevitable result.
Yeah, if a car is hitting a person, a pedestrian, many times they don't stand a chance. And one thing that struck me from your report, I read it this morning, was that Clayton County saw pedestrian fatalities double, going from 24 to 57. Do we have any idea what's happening there with that?
Sometimes the year-to-year changes can really mask the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that throughout these 5 counties that we looked at, people walking, people using wheelchairs are especially vulnerable. And any serious injury crash could be a fatality depending on the characteristics of that crash. So I think it's important to look at the overall numbers, and pedestrians are becoming less safe year over year, and that's something we're really concerned about.
And Rebecca, let's talk about some of those overall numbers right now. We have a chart here to show you. The report that you put out shows this 5-year moving average trending down. So when you do take a look at that bigger picture, what's working right? Any reason to be optimistic here?
Yeah, what we saw is that some streets, for example, Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway in Northwest Atlanta, the state installed some safety improvements on that, things like pedestrian crossings that are signalized and have a little space where you can cross one lane at a time. Drivers can see the pedestrians more easily, better lighting, things like this. Those actually had big safety improvements where those projects were installed. What we're not seeing is a sense of urgency to address this problem across the Metro Atlanta in all of our communities.
So you're calling for some government action here, but is there any kind of personal responsibility that drivers can take too? I'm thinking of all the distracted driving out there right now.
So as humans, we make mistakes, whether we're inside of cars or outside of them. What we need is for our roadway network and our systems overall to prevent those mistakes from becoming deadly. So when we can bring down driver speeds, if we do have people just having human error becoming a factor, they're much less likely to kill someone as a result.
You know something that can take human error out of the equation? Self-driving vehicles. And I'm curious to know if you have any thoughts on this, because Waymo just released some stats that shows it has 92% fewer pedestrian crashes when compared with human drivers, or so they claim. A doctor in the New York Times last week put out an op-ed about those numbers, saying that we may be on the path to eliminating traffic deaths as a leading cause of mortality in the U.S. He says, while many see this as a tech story, I see it as a public health breakthrough. What do you think about that, Rebecca?
It's something I'm following very closely. While self-driving cars and autonomous vehicles can't solve everything, they don't give us better transit, for example. If they can save even a few lives, it's definitely worth considering. One thing we do with our report each year is we highlight the human cost of unsafe streets. And so we looked at the stories of 3 individuals who were killed on our streets last year. And I think about what that means for their families, for their communities. They were all incredible people, and they left a legacy, but we could still have them. Most of these crashes are preventable, So technology that saves lives is so important. And I think, the more we can accelerate some of those technological improvements, the better.
And I like how you call them car crashes, not accidents. Accidents implying that it's not preventable. I recommend everybody go read your report and read the stories of those 3 people. They are one of hundreds in our area. For folks who are interested in reading it, where can they access this?
They can go to our website, let'spropelatl.org, or find us on social media. We'll continue to be talking about this issue because it continues to affect so many people, so many families.
Rebecca Serna, Propel ATL, thank you so much for your time this morning.